Hey y'all, it's finally stopped raining here and it is sunny and exceptionally hot outside and humid. But after all of the storms that we had come through, it's really the first day that I get to come out and assess the damage in the garden and in my yard and in my hydroponic system. So this garden tour is a little bit different because it's really kind of just taking note of everything that we've had go wrong. So let's go see what's left to save. So first, I have my grow bags with potatoes. These all did fine. No real issues there. My squash and melon row, as you can see, also in grow bags. I've already lost several zucchinis to squash vine borers. That's why there's empty bags. And I'm going to end up losing the rest of them. This is actually volunteer peanuts and one rogue carrot that really should be pulled at this point. Now the melons seem to be doing okay right now. It is kind of crazy in these beds. We also have bush beans setting another round of beans, but if I had to guess, this is probably their last go because it's getting really hot here. I think today the high is 90. I have some more volunteer peanuts and then bush beans and our melons that are taken off. They like the heat. Now this week, what I will do is I will come out and probably replant every empty bag with some type of melon because those will grow all summer long. Now when it comes to my beds, there are some things that are doing well. The cosmos didn't quite get to be 8 foot this year, but still large and impressive. My tomatoes have absolutely seen better days. I have nothing but fallen tomatoes and tons of rust, tomato rust mite damage. Pretty much everything in this bed needs to come out other than the cosmos. Now here, again, different type of cosmo. The tomatoes in this bed are also looking pretty bad. At least there's something nice to look at. This one's actually doing okay. So I can leave some of them, but then you can see here, right next to it, that really needs to come out. Third bed, of course, the snapdragons, still going gorgeous. They're all over the place. The cucumbers as well. Pretty much have cucumbers growing daily. Same thing with the purple pole beans. Very prolific. Same thing in this bed when it comes to the tomatoes. You can see just some are okay and some are not okay. Surprisingly enough, this back bed here has done okay. They had a lot of mite damage, as you can see. Crackly tomatoes, that's the mites. But a lot of these plants have actually bounced back. And now that they are super tall, I should be able to come out and spray. And I just realized the melon is trellising up from the grow bag all across the beds, which is what they do. But hopefully if I can now get out here and keep on a spray routine, maybe I can save this bed. Now, row B, just this row, really got hit the hardest. You can see lots of things kind of falling over. This back bed thankfully didn't have as much of the mite damage, but I'm not really sure how much production we're going to get out of it, just because it is starting to get super hot and everything was a little delayed. Of course, the zinnias are showing out. These are gorgeous. And the snapdragons as well, doing really well. This must be bolted cilantro. Gotta be. I didn't even know that was in there. Oh, and then I have some weeds. Nice weeds. Oh, this bed. This bed was my tester bed. It was the first one planted and it is deceased. You can see the thing with the storms is even if the storms don't knock over and kill the plants, they prevent you from coming out and doing any type of real maintenance, especially spraying. And if you can't keep on top of spraying, you end up losing your plants, as you can see here. So that's a little upsetting. This whole bed will have to be pulled and replanted. Even my nasturtiums are getting too hot. The oregano is loving it though. The bed next to it, also, these are actually volunteer zinnias coming up out of the rocks, which is funny because I did not grow orange zinnias last year. I grew yellow zinnias, which I believe these were also volunteers. These were the pink shell cosmos that I planted. But you can see more tomato damage. More tomato damage. It's rotten tomatoes. Rotten tomatoes everywhere the eye can see. And the first bed definitely has a lot of damage. You can see broken in half, completely laid over tomatoes. I'm not really sure this is worth keeping in any capacity. Everything is just kind of sprawled out. This is a weed that needs to come out of here today. And this is some lime basil volunteers that are reseeding. The only thing that I'm going to keep in this bed are the scarlet runner beans, which you can see some flowers up there. I'm letting these grow out and dry because I really grew these for the seeds for this year, because the packet of seeds that I had was only a handful of seeds, and I really want to grow a lot more of these. They were really pretty. So I'm going to let all of these dry out and save seeds for next year. Now the Tahitian melon is fighting back against the squash vine borer, and I do have my first one on the vine. Now, my understanding is that this is supposed to taste like a butternut squash once it's fully ready to harvest. It's pretty big. I mean, honestly, if you look at my hand. So coming over to this part of the yard, my hydroponic system, this is what hurts the most, is seeing all of the damage that was done. Everything in the general vicinity, other than my zinnias, took damage, it seems. So that's unfortunate. I do have my Gagutsa that was a volunteer growing out of the grass there, and it is slowly trying to make its way up to the bamboo trellis. My peppers didn't so much take damage, but they need their nutrients to be completely topped up, because with all the rainwater we got, it was just constantly flushing the system out, because obviously my hydroponics are not covered. So they are subjected to the rain. Now, as you can see here, we've got a lot of sad things going on. We've got tomatoes that have completely fallen over. We've got tons and tons of mite damage. It's at the point where I'm thinking of pulling everything out and starting over, which makes me so sad. Tons of dropped fruit, fallen fruit from the wind. And then on top of that, you can see, we've even had, unfortunately, some rat damage that I noticed. So we're actually going to harvest anything that's good today and assess the situation, because I don't know whether it's worth it to keep any of this. I just feel like at this point, start over. Start over without the mites. And even have rotten peppers, which I'm not sure why those are rotten. They shouldn't be, but here we are. I do have some backups of things, but I am planning on maybe doing a whole batch of new seeds, replanting things out. I just, at this point in the game, I'm not really sure what to do. If I should do more tomatoes, even though I know it's getting hot, or if I should stick to other things like peppers and wait and do tomatoes in the fall. I'm not sure. What would you do? The black velvet coleus is doing well. It's our channel mascot from a single tiny seed and has now really blossomed actually. Now these tomatoes obviously fell over, but they're healthy looking, so I may not fret too much with this general area here. This side of the yard completely has gotten away from me. Again, haven't been able to come outside, so kind of is what it is. This may be signs of wilt. This bag may have bacterial wilt. Wouldn't surprise me, a lot of things did. Sweet potato vine is growing nicely. That was a volunteer as well. Tabascos. Tabascos are doing nice. And we do have some nice looking tomatoes that we're getting. And these plants did have tomato mites for sure in the beginning. And it looks like they've actually bounced back, which is very surprising. And I think that pepper back there is not getting enough sun. He looks pretty leggy. This was my first time growing the peppers in the self-watering buckets along that fence. So I was hoping to get some decent production, but it does look like some of them are getting a little leggy. I may have to rethink that. Overall though, these beds are looking fine. I don't see too much actual damage here, which is a good thing. At least we finally are starting to get some blueberries in. Beat the birds to them this year. Now this is the peppermint stick balsam that we started from seed, and you can see that that is coming along nicely in my pot. Chickens are out to say hi. What's up, you guys? Y'all hanging out in the shade because it's too hot? Yeah, I agree. Being in the shade is where it's at. These tomatoes look good. I think this is the German giant, but oh boy. When you look at just the rest of the mess, it's hard to feel positive about this. Hey. So the first step to righting the wrongs back here is to simply harvest everything that we can. So if you remember, my diatomaceous earth bag was taken over by some finches, and I don't know if you can see inside the hole. There are some babies moving in there. They must have just hatched. They are super tiny. Quick cleanup in here. You can see I'm not liking the way this is drooping, and I don't know why it is. We checked it. It's not clogged. Maybe it's just because it's super hot out here. But I have one whole hydroponic bucket empty. It is a little shaded, but I think I'm going to plant something in it because I don't like wasted space. Next step is tying up anything that looks savable to our string trellis system. Not too bad. So after we took the time to clean up the yard, that night we got hit with another round of severe thunderstorm. And of course, came in the middle of the night, so I couldn't see what was going on. The next morning, I came out to assess the garden, and I realized that God was telling me the spring garden is finished. So I realized rather quickly that it was time for me to start pulling things and replanting out in my beds. I had several things that were actually overgrown in my let pot smart seed starter kit because of all the weather that I hadn't been able to really move an up pot outside. So I said, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity to get some of those things out of my house and into the yard. I did manage to get 25 pounds of tomatoes so far. And so I am blessed in that regards. However, if I'm being honest, I could sometimes pull those numbers in just one afternoon harvest. Now, I am very lucky that where I live, we have 2 seasons to grow tomatoes. The spring is normally our biggest producer. However, I do have the possibility for fall, and it is June. So I will be starting and planning and prepping for my fall tomatoes within the next couple of weeks, just because I really did not get a good harvest this year. And I guess some years are just like that. And I have to just take the loss and understand that last year I had issue with peppers. This year was the tomatoes. The truth is we're not done with this weather, and in fact, hurricane season has started. So while I hope we don't see anything, at this point, it's foolish to think that I'm going to be able to get on top of spraying and doing and handling all the damage. So I would just rather start to roll things over. Now, I'm not sure if the things that I'm even going to put out right now are going to produce. We're heading into our hot season as well. I mean, our really hot season. So the reality is this is all kind of just a toss-up to see what we get. Oh boy. This is bacterial wilt. 100%. Ooh, I need to throw that whole pot away. Look, I got a friend. See if I can. Oh. You know what this tells me? My bird feeder must be empty. Yep, sure enough, bird feeder is empty. And this one's completely wet and matted. When they don't have their food station working, you see them on my tomato plants. So the first thing I'm going to do is assess the situation. I think it's just time that I say goodbye. Beans are still doing fine. I'm going to let them go. I've got a cucumber over there doing well. Some flowers in here. This pepper doesn't look great, but I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to leave all the peppers for now. And just say goodbye. Now, the interesting thing I've learned is that the mites, the tomato rust mites, do not live in the soil. They only live on the plant itself. Now, I will alcohol these stakes before I plant anything next to them, just to clean them off. Here's to hoping next time we get a better harvest. Now, even though the mites don't live in the soil, they are easily transferred on clothes, on utensils, things of that nature. So that's why I have gloves on. Oh boy, another tree growing in here. Just to make sure I don't transfer anything. And now, I'm gonna alcohol everything that's over here. The other thing is, what I'm planting in here is not tomatoes, because we're out of season right now. So I'm hoping that this will give us enough time to beat the mites and not have this become a recurring thing. I have a few things that are ready to go out, have been ready to go out, and I'm just going to plant that out here. And I almost forgot, the first thing I'm going to do is throw in a little bit of pre-compost from my indoor composter, just to give a little extra boost of nutrition to this bed, since it does still have some things growing in it. And in fact, our cucumbers are just now really taking off. But I figure this way I'll have some things in here breaking down. right, first thing I'm gonna plant out is new to me, and that's some echinacea. Finally got this to grow from seed, which if you'd been following my seed starting videos, you know I struggled with this for years. Now, a nice heat-loving crop that will gladly produce throughout all of our summer is eggplant. Actually, this is some volunteer basil right here. Not too worried about that. So, a little bit more eggplant. In my opinion, you can never have too much of this. Quite the staple in Louisiana cooking. And then I also have another sweet banana pepper. This one we started from seed ourselves. I'm just gonna move these rotten tomatoes out of the way. Again, banana peppers. I'm in the mood for pickling. I have harvested my first batch of them already from my hydroponic system, and those will be pickled soon. This is a bell pepper. It's really too late for me to plant bell pepper right now, but I have it and I want to finish this tray. I'm going to plant it out and we'll see what we get. If I plant it maybe in the middle, it may get some shade and that may actually help it. Worst case scenario, I can let this go if it survives, and it will produce in the fall for me, which sometimes it's all you can really ask for. And the last one, if I'm being honest, I can't read the tag. That's how long these have been sitting. They really needed to be out. It is a pepper, I can tell that as much. But as far as what variety it is, I don't know. We will have to wait and see what it is together. Hopefully we get something. And again, it's been drizzling off and on since I've been out here. Go figure. I believe we are supposed to get a little bit more rain tonight. So I'm not going to bother watering this all in because God knows the last thing anything in this jar needs right now is more water. And then from the indoor Let Pot Smart Seed Starting Kit, I have several things that really need to come out. So I've got some snacking peppers and some celosia that I'm going to up pot out of here. A lot of these I overseeded a lot. So you can see the nice healthy roots there. There's more than one pepper plant in here. Nice healthy roots in that seed starting kit. Now normally I would separate these out, but because I have so much space to fill in right now and peppers don't mind a friend, actually not going to worry about it. Now, next up, I'm going to be replacing my nasturtiums with a more heat-loving flower. This is the celosia. I believe it's the Chinese wool one. It's either that or the orange flame, which I guess, again, to be determined, we'll see. I'm going to plant it right behind this nasturtium because I know that the nasturtium is on its way out. In fact, it really never got a fair shot. And I think I have space for one more. So the last thing I'm going to plant is some more snacking peppers. My son really liked them. They're small enough. They should be able to produce for us. So now we have our first turned over bed for the summer. Yes, I need to come out and get some more of these green beans, which by the way, they are delicious when pickled. But we have our struggling bell pepper, which may go. Some white, I believe these were marigolds. Cayenne, which is still going to set fruit through our heat. And then our oregano, which now finally can see some sunlight. The cucumbers we did actually intentionally start are finally taking off now that they're getting some more light. And then we have our eggplant in the back, our echinacea, some snacking peppers, some more peppers, sweet banana peppers, unidentifiable, snagging pepper, and celosia. So this has been a very bittersweet week for me. I feel a little bit better now that I've gotten at least one of the beds rolled over, and I'm hoping that I will be able to find the passion to start more seeds and move forward for fall. This has just been really eye-opening, really eye-opening season. But all in all, another week done. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're into gardening content, I encourage you to subscribe, especially troubleshooting content, because that seems to be the role we're on this year. Until next time, stay blessed.